Here's how I made the single layer beanie hat, and I'm going to show you step by step. So first you want to cast on, going over and under each needle one time around on your machine. Put it in the yarn holder and tensioner and then do 45 rows. If you have a larger head, you're going to want to do more rows, but 45 seemed to work good for me. Take it off the yarn holder, and now we are going to pick up each stitch to cast off using these knitting needles that have a tube connecting them, and these came with my machine. So you're going to do this all the way around, so they're all on these knitting needles, and now we're going to do the bind off. So now that the project is off of our machine, now we're going to, it's called bind off. And so what I have is I have a YouTube tutorial. I looked up a whole bunch of different ways to try to get the most stretch. And so I have a collection called Knitting for the Non-Knitters, because I am not a knitter, I am a crocheter. But I did learn how to do this bind off. I tried a couple different ones. It's called the yarn over bind off, and that one seemed to give us the most stretch that we need for our hat, so it fits around our head, and so it doesn't give you that rubber band effect where it feels like it's cutting off the circulation to your brain. Circulation is very important. So it does roll a little bit. I'm going to block this, where we can put it on a block for a few days. I'm going to wet it, put it on a block to hopefully keep that down. But this has seemed to be the best way to get a little bit more stretchier end for our hat when it's this single one. So what we're going to do is, this is where our project, where we started picking up our stitches and we worked all the way around. So I have this needle with nothing on it in my right hand, and then on my left needle I have all these project stitches. And so the first thing we're going to do to be able to do the bind off, and I have this on the project side facing out, or the right side is what I usually call it. What I found out during my Googling and searching is this is called the knit side, which is what I always call the right side. And then this side is called the purl side. So it's actually doing two different stitches. This isn't just considered a wrong side, but the purl side, so you can decide which pattern you like. I will say, when you're binding off, the purl way to bind off is very confusing for my brain. The knit side is easier for me to do, the knit bind off. So I have it facing right side out, facing me, so I can do it the knit way. If you know how to do the purl side and you think it's easier for me to bind off doing the purl, flip it inside out and do this. But for me, this is how I'm going to do it. So I have my working yarn. I keep it in my left hand because that's how I crochet. I cannot do tension with my right hand, as I found out. This is probably only the fourth time I've done this, so bear with me. Okay, so we take it and we take our right needle and we want to go behind our left, so it makes an X. And then, and I don't know if it makes a difference to do it like this, but the way I kept seeing it was like this. Okay, so you're putting it here, and now we yarn over, so you go in between the two needles and then around the front, and that just helps me to hold my tension with my left hand. And then we're going to, this is our yarn over piece, which is below our needle, and we're going to pull it down and we pick it up, so we have one loop. Now we got to do one more, because to do the bind off we have to have two loops on the right needle, so we got to do another knit, take him down and around. Now we got two. Okay, now we're going to take our back loop and we pull it over our front loop like a slip stitch, so we end up with just our front loop on our right needle. And this is probably the hardest part. Yes. Okay, now we have one. So that was, I believe, this is the regular bind off. Now we're going to yarn over we have to do it to the front. Yarn over, pull it through that loop, and 1. Now we start over. Now we have 1 loop left on our right needle. Now we just have to do 1 knit to get 2 over here. Then we can finish that off again. So go around, pull it down and through. Now take this guy, pull the back over the front. Oh, like I said, that's the hardest part. Got there, 1 loop. Now yarn over 1 more time. And pull it through. Cool. And continue all the way down till we got all of our loops off of our needles. And there was a way that they were doing it with 2 needles. I really couldn't do that. This part that's yarn over, so I do this. I do it with 1 needle, like that. So since it's a knit, we want this working yarn, I guess, in the back of both needles. Put our right behind, yarn over, pull down and pick up that loop. Pull the back loop through the front loop. Don't split your yarn. Yarn over 1 more time. And so now we will just continue doing the same knit with then the yarn over, knit. I believe this is then called the bind, because we have to take the back one over the front. And now 1 more yarn over. Okay, so then we continue that until all of these stitches are off of our knitting needles, and I will meet you back when we're to that point. Now that we have 1 loop left on our needle, we're going to yarn over and then just pull that loop over our working yarn, and then we can cut the rest off of our skein. I leave a bit of a long tail, pull it through, and now it's secure. So now we just got to connect the round into place. We're done with our knitting needles, set those aside, and I just get a plastic needle, put it on the tail end of my working yarn, and then I just kind of feed it through the next stitch, or the first stitch that we did, and then I knot it to secure, and you can weave in your ends and then cut off any excess. Now for the other side of the tube, we still need to cinch it closed. It's like a drawstring. Just pull on the working end of tail of the yarn and make sure you push in those stitches so it's a nice closed round top. And then I like to sew back and forth with a needle around that closed area just to secure it. And then I knot it into place. Option is we can use any excess yarn that's on that tail and sew on a button, and then we connect a pom-pom if you would like. This part's totally optional. So length, this is the 45 rows. It comes out to about 8 inches. And then if you do more like 50 to 55 inches, is this hat without the pom-pom. It's more like 9.5, but then I have to fold up the brim because it's a little bit long. So here's the 45 rows. And then if you go longer than that, you're going to need to then fold up that brim a little bit more like this. So thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting. Like and subscribe for more.